and welcome to ARIRANG News. It's Wednesday, November 19th here in Seoul. I'm Laah Hyun-kyung, and these are the stories making headlines at this hour. The UN's Third Committee adopts the strongest resolution condemning North Korea's human rights situation to date. It will now be put to a vote at a plenary UN assembly. North Korean high-ranking official Choe Ryong-hae meets with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Experts talk about the possibility of a summit between regime leader Kim Jong-un and Putin. And the Orthodox Jewish community in Jerusalem is rattled by an attack from two Palestinian cousins that left 5 people dead. Israeli Prime Minister vows a harsh response. And now we begin with news coming out of the UN headquarters in New York. As I said, a resolution pushing for the North Korean regime to be referred to the International Criminal Court for its dire human rights situation has been adopted by a UN committee. Hwang Ji-hye has our top story.
A UN Human Rights Committee approved a resolution on Tuesday which calls for the Security Council to refer North Korea to the International Criminal Court for alleged crimes against humanity. The resolution, drafted by the European Union and Japan, passed overwhelmingly with the support of 111 countries. 19 members opposed it and 55 abstained. The approval came despite last-minute protests by North Korea and its allies. Earlier in the day, Cuba proposed an amendment that would have deleted some lines in the resolution that says North Korean leader Kim Jong-un should face the ICC. The committee voted down that proposal. The original EU-Japan drafted resolution will now be put to a vote at a plenary UN assembly in the coming weeks, but while it mounts extra pressure on Pyongyang, it's unlikely to actually bring about any tangible results in the criminal court. Pundits say China and Russia, both veto-wielding permanent members of the Security Council, will almost certainly use their power to stop the North Korean leader being targeted by prosecutors. The two countries voted for the Cuban proposal while voting against the original one. North Korea fired off some sharp warnings before Tuesday's vote, saying the passage of the resolution would prompt it to conduct further nuclear tests. The vote came after a UN investigative panel concluded in February that officials in the north are responsible for systematic killing, torture, and starvation. Hwang Ji-hye, ARIRANG News.
And although North Korea denies violating its people's human rights, there are detailed accounts from North Korean defectors that make it harder for the international community to sit back and do nothing. Here's ARIRANG's Connie Kim with more.
2살 난 딸도 그 인신매매로 중국에서 이렇게 이제 그 갈라져 가지고 팔렸고 지금 현재는
도망치고 싶은 생각이 정말 너무 엄청 많았고 막 자유롭게 살고 싶은 생각도 그때 당시 없지 않아 있었습니다.
네, 대한민국에 들어와서 북한이 어떤 나라이고 그토록 참혹하게 제가 어떤 생활을 살았는지 깨닫게 되었고.
These 3 North Korean defectors say they're still somewhat fearful that North Korean agents may target them. But it's not stopping them from speaking out about their experiences, which they hope will raise awareness of what it's like to live in North Korea under the oppressive watch of the regime. The secluded state has long been criticized for its human rights abuses, with hundreds of thousands of people believed to be in political prison camps. With the United Nations General Assembly poised to vote on a resolution that would refer the North Korean regime to the International Criminal Court for human rights violations, experts say first-hand accounts of those abuses can only solidify the case.
The testimonies of the North Korean defectors are evidence of human rights violations in the North. Their stories help the international community to pressure the North to improve conditions.
The defectors hope this is a first step in the long journey toward unification of the two Koreas.
By coming out to the public and speaking out, I hope it leads to a unified Korea. I hope the day will come when we don't have to be separated, when we can have dinner together and drive to our relatives when we want to see them.
Connie Kim, ARIRANG News.
North Korea's special envoy Choe Ryong-hae sat down with Russian President Vladimir Putin on Tuesday. Pundits wonder if this is a prelude to an upcoming summit between the North's young leader Kim Jong-un and the Russian president. Hwang Sung-hee has our next report.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's special envoy Choe Ryong-hae held an hour-long meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow on Tuesday. The Kremlin said Choe delivered a message from the young Kim, but provided no further details. Pundits say the possibility of arranging a summit between the two leaders could also be a part of Choe's mission. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov had told Russian news agency Itar-TASS that the outlook for denuclearization of the Korean peninsula would be the first subject taken up. Choe is being accompanied on his trip by North Korea's chief nuclear envoy Kim Gye-kwan. The North Korean delegation is scheduled to meet with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov on Thursday before heading to the country's far eastern cities of Khabarovsk and Vladivostok to discuss trade and economic projects. North Korea is seeking further cooperation with Russia in the energy and agriculture sectors, while Moscow wants access to Pyongyang's natural resources worth an estimated $25 billion. This marks the third visit by a high-ranking North Korean official to Moscow this year. In October, Foreign Minister Lee Soo-young visited Russia for the first time in 4 years. Experts say these are part of Pyongyang's efforts to diversify its diplomatic partners as it finds itself on the outs with longtime ally China. Hwang Sung-hee, ARIRANG News.
The Korean military has carried out a large-scale landing exercise off Korea's southeastern coast. This as part of an ongoing annual defense drill. Kim Hyun-bin takes us to the site of the exercise.
At the break of dawn, orders are given and amphibious assault landing vehicles infiltrate enemy territory. Marines hop off the tanks, secure a perimeter, and soon after, neutralize enemy firepower. Air-cushioned vehicles and transport crafts storm in with supplies and heavy arms, while the Korean-made K-1 tank provides fire support. This joint amphibious landing exercise is part of the annual Hoguk exercise, which began in 1996. This year's drill is the largest ever.
Our Navy and Marines get realistic training through this exercise for operations that play a decisive role during war.
The orders are given out 20 miles away from the Asia's largest transport ship, the Tokdo LPX. It is used as a command center, coordinating operations and giving orders to the people manning attack helicopters and armored vehicles. Over 1,400 Marines, 20 vessels, and other amphibious vehicles were involved in this year's exercise. Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Hwang Gi-chul, emphasized the importance of the drill during a visit to the command center.
Our military's core value dictates we conduct a powerful drill. Through that, we will be able to prevent enemy provocations and come out victorious.
This year's 6-day exercise is aimed at enhancing the Korean military's amphibious landing capabilities and runs through Thursday. Kim Hyun-bin, ARIRANG News.
And in other domestic news, 2 new government bodies under the Prime Minister's office officially launched on this Wednesday. The latest changes are, of course, in light of the April ferry sinking. Kim Young-gil has the details.
The Ministry of Public Safety and Security was born on Wednesday. With a staff of 10,000 people, it now acts as the government's control tower for safeguarding people and responding to national disasters and large-scale accidents. The Korea Coast Guard and the National Emergency Management Agency have been placed under its watch as 2 sub-level agencies. Former Navy Admiral Park In-young was tapped to lead the new safety ministry and awaits a confirmation hearing at the National Assembly, which is scheduled for early next month. The overhaul also sets up a new agency that will be in charge of managing government personnel. In addition to handling human resources of civil servants, it is tasked with leading reforms in Korea's bureaucratic structure. Lee Geum-myeon, a former Samsung Electronics official who specialized in the field of personnel management for decades, was nominated to lead the agency. At Wednesday's inauguration ceremony, Prime Minister Chung Hong-won expressed hope that the two new government bodies will strengthen disaster prevention measures. The formation of the new bodies comes nearly 200 days after President Park Geun-hye promised government restructuring as a follow-up measure to April's Seoul ferry disaster, which left more than 300 people dead or missing. Kim Jong-un, ARIRANG News.
On the economic front, falling global oil prices have pushed Korea's producer prices to their lowest level since early 2011. And as our Song Ji-sun reports, this has prompted the central bank to cut its inflation forecast for this year and next.
Korea's producer prices slumped to their lowest point in nearly 4 years in October, due largely to tumbling crude oil prices and strong agricultural harvests. The Bank of Korea says its producer price index fell for the third consecutive month in October to 104.56, down 0.6% from a year earlier and its lowest level since January 2011. Plunging energy prices had a knock-on effect on the prices of industrial products that fell an average of 2.4%. Dubai crude continues to fall like a stone, with the price plunging over 10% last month after dropping 5% in September. The weak global economic recovery is reducing demand for crude, but oil-producing nations in the Middle East are not cutting their output. But that's welcome news for drivers and air travelers, as gas and diesel prices in Korea fell an average of 15% from a year earlier. Agriculture and fisheries product prices also went down, thanks to strong harvests and good catches. Fruit and vegetable prices also tumbled 17% from the previous month. The falling prices have prompted Korea's central bank to slash its inflation outlook for this year by 0.5 percentage point to 1.4%. It has also cut next year's outlook from 2.7 to 2.4%. Song Ji-sun, ARIRANG News.
Korea's central bank governor is worried that a potential rise in the key interest rate next year could trigger some households to default on their mortgage loans. At a lecture on Tuesday evening, Lee Ju-yeol, however, added that households defaulting on their debts is something that neither he nor the Bank of Korea has any control over. The current key interest rate stands at 2%, a historic low not seen since the height of the global financial crisis in 2009. As for the weakening Japanese yen, the central bank governor said implementing monetary policies as a countermeasure to the yen was not a desirable solution. In the year 2012 for Korea was at its record high.
All of the day's important events close to home and around the world. Join Laah Hyun-kyung live from Seoul.
Shopping market thinks the true meaning of creation shines through. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has promised a harsh and swift response in what he said was a battle for Jerusalem spurred on by the Palestinian Authority, Hamas, and Islamic Jihad. The Prime Minister ordered that the perpetrators' homes be destroyed. Now, this is in response to the latest attack on a synagogue in an ultra-Orthodox neighborhood of East Jerusalem, where Palestinian cousins stormed the house of prayer with guns in hand. They killed at least 3 rabbis and wounded others before being shot dead in a firefight with police. A police officer also died of his wounds at a hospital later. Now, tensions have been mounting in Jerusalem over access to a holy site known to Jews as the Temple Mount and to Muslims as Al-Haram al-Sharif. Long under heavy fire for alleged corruption, FIFA has turned the tables and filed a criminal complaint against unnamed individuals over the bidding race for the 2018 and 2022 World Cups. The world governing body of football said in a statement that there seem to be isolated cases of international transfers of assets with connections to Switzerland that merit examination by authorities. The criminal complaint was filed to Switzerland Attorney General on Tuesday. FIFA said it will submit all 430 pages of a recent confidential investigation by American prosecutor Michael Garcia. Russia and Qatar won the bidding contests for the 2018 and 2022 World Cups, respectively. Now, trans fats have long been linked to all sorts of health problems such as heart disease and high cholesterol, and new research suggests it may also impair memory. Researchers at the University of California, San Diego conducted a word memory test on around 700 young and middle-aged men and found that those who consumed the most trans fats remembered fewer words than those who ate the least. The doctor who led the study came to the conclusion that trans fats may help to preserve food but has an opposite effect on people's memories. The push to go green is not limited to hybrid cars or electric buses anymore. There's also been a surge in the number of fuel-efficient planes crisscrossing the world's skies. Airbus has launched the latest, the A350, and it's here in Korea as part of a 5-nation demonstration tour of Asia. Connie Lee has more.
Say hello to the A350 jetliner, the latest passenger plane from European manufacturer Airbus. It's not officially carrying passengers yet, but has arrived in Korea on the first stop of its 11-day Asia tour. The A350 is massive, but lightweight, different from most other passenger planes.
It's an aircraft that brings together fantastic comfort for passengers, but also brings a lot of efficiency for airlines, saves a lot of fuel, it burns 25% less fuel, and it can carry 300 passengers for around 15,000 kilometers.
The plane boasts impressive fuel efficiency. It uses less fuel because it's lightweight, thanks to its use of carbon fiber in place of steel. However, Airbus is not the only company with carbon fiber planes. Boeing has its own fuel-efficient jetliner, the B787 Dreamliner. Smaller than the A350, this plane uses 20% less fuel than its non-carbon fiber counterparts. Passengers have been able to fly on the B787 since 2011, and Virgin Atlantic was the most recent company to order the B787 last month. Qatar Airways will give the Airbus A350 its first commercial flight in mid-December, and Korea's Asiana Airlines will put its own A350s into operation in 2017. Connie Lee, ARIRANG News.
Now, dozens of digital content creators and professionals from across the globe are here in Seoul to exchange their big and brightest ideas for the rapidly expanding industry. Park Ji-won files this report.
Chung Sung-ha is a young Korean guitarist with several albums and global concerts under his belt, working with various international stars like Jason Mraz. His rise to fame began with a simple video uploaded to YouTube, and now Chung has nearly 3 million subscribers. Yang Ding followed a similar path. As a young female gamer, she creates diverse video sharing contents, mostly broadcasts of games, and has over 1 million YouTube subscribers. They are just a couple examples of the new wave of creators. YouTube Content Operations Director Dave Powell says now is the golden time for individuals to create contents because of the diversity of new media platforms.
Here in Korea, YouTube creators are heralding the one-person startup economy. Fans in Korea and globally are responding. So 25% of our fastest growing channels with international subscribers are endemic or native creators on YouTube. 70% of our fastest growing channels with local or Korean subscribers are created by endemic creators.
Digital technology is affecting more conventional media like television as well. A producer of the US hit program House of Cards says the drama has benefited from big data, which is being used to analyze viewer preferences. However, Hip said that in the end, it's universal themes that capture the attention of viewers, not the technology itself.
Each American network knows their audience and uses tons of research and tons of tons of big data to kind of go in about, what makes a show. You can have all the big data you want, but if the artists and the idea isn't something special, then distribution or big data doesn't really matter. It really has to start with the creative first.
This year's International Content Conference has invited guests from all around the world to discuss the latest trends of the industry, from digital technology platforms to big data analysis, and how the technology is changing the nature of the contents they create. 박지원, ARIRANG News.
For our arts and culture segment today, we begin with one of this year's top male actors in Hollywood. Mentioning the movie Interstellar may provide some hints. Our Im Yoon-hee joins me today for that and more. Good afternoon, Yoon-hee.
Good afternoon. So as an entertainer, of course, it's a huge honor to be added to the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Well, this particular actor has been noted by many as one of the hardest working actors in the industry, and it's about time he got his name etched on one of those stars in Tinseltown, so take a look.
Actor Matthew McConaughey has added one more accolade to his impressive list of achievements. He's now the 2,534th star to have his name added to the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
I have a career that on Monday, I look forward to Monday morning to going to work. That I'm proud to be able to say. This industry's given me a lot. It's given me a chance to live out some dreams I didn't even know I had.
McConaughey's most recent movie, Interstellar, has been a hit at the box office. He stars as a former NASA pilot turned farmer, looking to find a way to save civilization. Earth is on the brink of extinction, but a wormhole offers a chance at discovering 3 potentially inhabitable planets that happen to be circling a black hole. The trip, however, is full of unforeseen dangers, and soon the crew, led by McConaughey's character, finds themselves caught between a gravitational time dilation. The team of astronauts must find a way to save not just themselves, but also the human race. Over in the music industry, Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriter Billy Joel has been honored as the next recipient of the Gershwin Prize for Popular Song. It's a prestigious award given by the U.S. Library of Congress for a lifetime contribution to popular music. And the life and career of yet another legendary musician, Bono, was recently illustrated into a bright and colorful comic book. From the U2 frontman's early life and his rock star career, all the way through his humanitarian efforts, all play out in the pages of Blue Water Productions' Fame comic series.
So I'm curious to know who the artist behind this comic book series is.
Okay, so his name is Michael Frizzle, and actually you heard in the report there are some very fun scenes from U2, from Bono's life throughout the comic series, but in particular there are also scenes of such as Bloody Sunday, which is the 1972 civil protest that happened in Ireland, which in turn eventually influenced their U2's writing of Sunday, Bloody Sunday, which really led U2 to become popular. So some very key points in Bono's life are included in this comic book.
Right. So let's go back to talking about Matthew McConaughey. He has had quite a productive year, we can say.
Right, so this is probably his biggest year yet in his career. He actually won an Oscar and a Golden Globe Award both this year, and now he's got the Walk of Fame star. But he's definitely been recognized recently for his role in the Dallas Buyers Club and also Wolf of Wall Street. So a prominent actor, you'll definitely be seeing more of him, and with Interstellar doing so well, I'm sure he has some more awards on the way.
And the movie is doing really well in Korea, so maybe this year he's probably too busy, but maybe next year he will have a chance to come to Korea and greet his Korean fans.
Well, we would welcome him with open arms.
All right. Thank you very much, Uni, for today's report.
Always a pleasure.
And that's all we have for you at this hour. Our next newscast is at 4 p.m. Korea time. See you then.